In the last video we talked about the should but pattern, which is a great tool for helping with procrastination. If you've not watched it yet, if you're on the website, I'll put a link below the video. If you're on Facebook, scroll back a couple of posts, it should be there for you. So what we're going to look at today, disagreeing with people breaks rapport, and we should always be looking for ways to build rapport with people. So we're going to look at the second of 3 of the but patterns, which is a great way for building rapport with people. A lot of the time, but directly translates to I disagree. Think about these 3 examples and what's implied on the end of them. I know what you're saying, but, or you're mostly right, but, well, that's an interesting way of looking at things, but we might as well stick on the end of it. I know what you're saying, but you're wrong. And that's just not a great rapport building tool. The antidote is to catch yourself before you say the word but and to use the word and instead. It forces you to think and it forces you to look for common ground. Here's a couple of examples you might find in the workplace and one that you might find a bit closer to home as well. How about this that might happen in the workplace? This department's inefficient. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but we're already working as hard as we can under difficult situations. And suddenly that word but in there is starting to cause a standoff. So what we're going to do is change the word but to and it's a completely different continuation. This department's inefficient. I know what you're saying, and that's why we've come up with this plan. Would you take a look over it with us? We'd love to get your ideas. Or maybe even, this department's inefficient. Absolutely, I agree it is, and that's why we'd like to get your ideas. Can we get a meeting so that we can look at ways to get things moving more efficiently? And suddenly the whole situation's been diffused just by changing the word but to and, because it forces you to change the way that you're looking at things. Here's one that derails so many meetings. Maybe it's a meeting about a project deadline and somebody says something like, it's really hard for us to focus on this project at the moment. We've been asking for the toilets to be fixed for ages and it feels like nobody's listening to us. And the reply might be, I know how you feel, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. And actually that word but, I know how you feel, but it's completely dismissive of their feelings and that meeting is going nowhere. So once again we change but to and. I know how you're feeling, and let's have a chat about that after this meeting. And suddenly you've acknowledged their feelings and you've validated them. And then you might be able to bring the meeting back on track with something like, and to make sure that we get the best use of our time today, the agenda for this meeting is X, Y, and Z. It's very, very assertive, but it's also taking other people's feelings into considerations, and that's a great rapport building tool. Let's have a look at something that might happen at home. Yes, I know you think the kids should be in bed by 9:30, but most of their friends get to stay up till 10 o'clock, and I think it's important that they don't feel different to their peer group. It's also important that they get to feel that they have some input on things and that we're not just forcing our views on them. And there's the start of an argument right there. So instead we could say, yes, it's important for children to get enough sleep, and it's important for them to feel part of their peer group, and it's also important for them to feel that they've got some independence. So how can we give them all 3? And suddenly that argument's become a discussion and the whole thing's going to be a lot more pleasant. But builds roadblocks and roadblocks lead to arguments, and builds bridges and bridges lead to understanding. It can take a bit of preparation. It might even mean changing our perspective on things sometimes, and we won't always get it right. I think my friend Glenn sums it up perfectly when he says, it's not necessarily about agreeing with people all the time, it's about being more agreeable. He also says, which I think is brilliant, beware of however, because however is just a posh but, and insert your favourite innuendo here. Next time, and I've saved my personal favourite till last, we're going to look at the but swap pattern. So far we've looked at the should but pattern, a way of helping to deal with procrastination. Today we've looked at changing but into and as a way to build rapport and relationships. And the but swap is a great way of changing the way that we feel. So check back in a couple of days, I'll have that ready for you.